What is going on, Patriots fans? This is Jace back with another Mock Draft Monday here on the Patriots Drive podcast, version 11. We've done a lot of these. We are to a 5-round mock draft. We'll get into 6 and 7 rounds here shortly. If you guys are not already, make sure you like, subscribe, comment down below, turn the notification bell on. We went live with a mock draft 1.0 with me and both Cole last Sunday. So make sure for you guys, if you want to be a part of those, want to come in, share your thoughts, make sure you like, subscribe, comment. But we appreciate all the support. And without further ado, let's jump right into the mock draft. This video is sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. At Underdog Fantasy, you can pick higher or lower on 2 or more players for your chance to win 20, 30, or even 1,000 times your money in a single night. The best part about Underdog Fantasy is it's available in 33 of the 50 states. So what are you waiting for? Use code PATSDRIVE and get your first deposit matched up to $1,000 and join the millions of fans who have won on Underdog Fantasy. Make sure to download the app on the App Store or go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Okay, let's jump right into this mock draft, guys. Again, I've done a lot of scenarios, right? So some of these ones here are getting creative. They're a little bit of wishful thinking, but again, it's just another way to talk about more prospects, talk about scenarios, because honestly, nobody knows what's going to happen. There's rumors saying the Browns are going to take a quarterback at 2 overall. It's looking more likely because of the Myles Garrett extension. Everyone's like, oh, the Giants need to take one. Who knows who's going to go where? The Patriots are the landing odds to take Travis Hunter. I took Travis Hunter in my last mock draft. If you guys want to go back and watch that mock draft Monday 10, nobody knows. Free agency obviously starts today, so there is a ton of stuff that's going to change even from this mock draft to the one that I release next Monday. So there is a ton of stuff that's going on. So just a fun option that I cooked up for the Patriots off of some rumors, off of some quarterback needy teams. First thing is, I had the Patriots trade quarterback Joe Milton to the Browns. Okay, now the Patriots trade Joe Milton, the 4th overall pick, and pick number 69 to move up 2 slots to the 2nd overall pick and move down about 30 slots in the 3rd round with the Cleveland Browns. Now, a couple things here, right? Obviously, the Browns just made Myles Garrett the highest paid position player, other than a quarterback, right? The highest paid player other than a quarterback in NFL history, $40 million a year. That's a 4-year extension. So some are wondering, well, man, maybe they probably are going to take a quarterback at 2. They are. What if they think Joe Milton's better than Cam Ward? I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Again, it's been rumored. We could look at it. The Browns had been one that had maybe been like, maybe we could get a 3rd round from him. So just cooked up a fun one. As you guys can imagine, I have the Patriots doing this to trade up to take Abdul Carter. Now, again, a lot of crap is going on here, right? Abdul Carter would have to not be taken by Tennessee. They'd have to go with Travis Hunter. Maybe they themselves go with Cam Ward. Maybe this is a draft day trade because Cam Ward's off the board. Who knows? Again, it's all fun, wishful thinking. Want to talk about prospects. This would be a great trade for the Patriots, in my opinion. Abdul Carter, 6'3", 252 pounds. This dude's a first-team All-Big Ten twice, 2-time All-American. He had 12 sacks this year, which was tied for 466 total pressures, which was the 2nd most in college football. He had a 22.6% win percentage on pass rush plays, which was 3rd most in college football. He had a 92.4 pass rush grade, which was the highest in college football amongst edge rushers. He only played in 94 snaps as an edge rusher last year in 2023. This year was the first time he had really, truly, exclusively played edge. He played 564 this year, but he's been more of an off-ball type linebacker. So again, I've talked about Abdul Carter a lot. I've taken him in a previous mock draft. This is a guy who has not played the position a lot. He's still young. He's a freak athlete, and he just needs to learn the position a little bit more. But what you saw in college is enough to say, hey, this dude's worthy of a top 2 overall pick, in my opinion. He did have an ankle injury that came out. They were debating on if it should require surgery or not. He is not doing surgery, so he will hopefully test at his pro day. Hopefully, we get to see some of those numbers because this is a guy who was on Bruce Fieldman's freak list. They say he ran a 4.48 40. He ran a 4.35 shuttle, and he had a 10'7" broad jump. His max speed was reportedly 22.4 miles per hour in summer workouts with Penn State, and he supposedly squatted 600 pounds. So again, freak athlete. Penn State's put some dudes in the NFL. They've tested very well at the combine. Abdul Carter could be another one of those guys come his pro day. But talking about the play, right? This dude has elite get off. He's one of those twitchy pass rushers that has the ability to dip under an offensive lineman. He can bend, he can turn the corner. He has a bunch of different moves, and he hasn't even played the position for that long. So for him to have an arsenal of moves already that have been effective, and you can do a lot when you can bend and you can run the corner, turn it like he can. It makes it pretty dang easy. So again, some of the kind of concerns for me is he is a little bit raw as an edge rusher, probably needs to get a little bit better in the run, but the pass rushing upside of this dude is Micah Parsons like, it's Will Anderson like, who we saw come out of Alabama a couple years ago. This is a guy that a little bit smaller. He's in the 37th percentile for his weight. A little bit smaller on the edge. Again, he did play more off-ball linebacker in his first couple years at Penn State, but he has everything you want to get to the pass rusher, and I think that he would be a great pick for the Patriots if they were able to get their hands on him. Another trade here, right? The Patriots obviously need to get more elite talent. They just need talent on this roster, right? So some will argue, well, man, trading all these picks just to move up might not be worth it. Well, if this guy is available with the 27th overall pick, the Patriots, and here I have them trading their second and one of their third round picks, the one that they received from Cleveland, to move up to get this guy. That's Matthew Golden. Now, this is a guy that is shooting up draft boards, right? Some people have him ranked above Ted McMillan. Some people have him as wide receiver 1 in this class. We don't know. It will be really interesting to see when he comes off the board. Matthew Golden was 5'11" flat in the at the combine, 191 pounds. The big thing that stole the show, he ran a 4.29 40. That was the best at the combine. Some people were like, oh, Isaiah Bond's going to break the record, his teammate, right? No, it was Matthew Golden. He stole the show. He ran a 4.29. That shows that elite long speed. This is a guy who started at the University of Houston. He transferred to Texas last year. He's only been in college for 3 years. He had 58 receptions, 987 yards, 9 touchdowns. This dude kind of took off in the college football playoff. That's where he made a name for himself, the Arizona State game. 17 yards per reception this year, 61% contested catch rate. This dude is an excellent route runner. This dude creates separation better than anyone, no problem. Has a little bit smaller frame, probably fits that Z receiver role, which is fine. You need to find a true X outside, but this is a guy that, because of the way he runs his routes, because of the way he separates, you have no questions about him. He sells his routes very good. He has crisp, sharp breaks when he's breaking, whether it's a dig route, whether it's a comeback, whether it's a post, whether it's a corner, whatever it is, he snaps his routes off. He's really good at getting in and out of them. Good ball skills, 61% contested catch rate, like I said, so he's able to go up, high point the ball, even though he has a little bit of a smaller frame. And then the long speed. Now, this is an interesting one. If you were to put on multiple clips of Isaiah Bond and Matthew Golden on film and say who's faster, 90% of people would probably say Isaiah Bond. Isaiah Bond obviously did not run as well as Matthew Golden, but Matthew Golden is very good at tempoing his speed. He doesn't need to run the 4.29 all the time, right? He has a good release package. He can create separation. Obviously, he can separate down the field with that 4.29 speed, but he doesn't need to use it all the time. And I think you see that on film. He's very crafty with his routes, things like that. So if he was available, trading up for him would probably be expensive, but it would be worth it because I think he's really good. He needs to learn to play through physical corners at 190 pounds, 5'11". Just when corners can get their hands on him, the physicality seems to disrupt him a little. He's not the best yards after the catch wise, right? With that speed, you'd like to see him be able to get the ball in his hands, maybe create after. Not the best that way. He doesn't have the biggest catch radius. He's not the longest. He can go up and high point it, but he's not going to be making crazy, absurd catches outside of his frame very often just because of there. And then the other biggest concern, in his 3 years in college football, he had 15 total drops. 4 of them were this year. 6.5% of his receptions were drops. Just needs to shore those up, get a little bit better sure hands so that he doesn't have that problem in the NFL, because that will be the biggest way to keep you off the field. No matter how good of a receiver you are, how fast you are, you have to catch the ball with your hands. You have to be able to hold on to it. You can't be making easy drops like that. So Matthew Golden, a guy shooting up draft boards. Some of you guys might not think he might not be here at this point. It's very likely, but in this mock draft with him still available at 27, I was like, yeah, let's pull the trigger. Let's have the Patriots trade up, get a guy that could be a number 1 receiver, hopefully in the near future. With the 3rd round pick, so the Patriots pick that they got from the Atlanta Falcons, I have them taking kind of a swing offensive lineman guy, Jonas Savaiinaea. Now, this is a guy who's played all right tackle, left tackle, and right guard his career. He's played over 2,000 snaps at the University of Arizona. His height indicates he's a guard. He's 6'4" and 1/8", 324 pounds. He did measure in at 33 and 7/8 inch arms, which is why I think he is a swing guy. He can play inside. He can play outside in a pinch. He had a 4.95 40-yard dash, which was in the 96th percentile for offensive linemen. He's physical. He's athletic. He moves dudes. Big, thick offensive lineman. He has a really good anchor. It's very hard to overpower this guy because of how big of a frame he has, how heavy he is. He can move defenders out of gaps with ease. When you see him double teaming guys, or if you see him having to dig someone out or out block on, a zone or whatever, it's easy for him to displace the defender. Heavy hands, very strong, very good upper body. He can strike and stun a defender. He gets out of his stance very quickly. Even though he gets out of his stance very quickly, he struggles with some of his foot speed. He was very athletic. He tested well, but his foot speed is kind of the same with Michael Onwenu, right? Everyone's like, oh, he's not a tackle because he struggles with some of those guys that can just run around him. That's probably the same as Jonas Savaiinaea. Now, him having the length is what I like. I think he's an interior offensive lineman, but the ability and the experience to have played outside in a pinch makes him a little bit more exciting to me. Someone you could take in the third round, probably could play amongst the whole offensive lineman. Maybe you have this guy snapping. I mean, maybe you move Cole Strange into snapper, Onwenu into guard, and Savaiinaea into left guard, or maybe you just have Savaiinaea take some snaps. He's never played it before. Hopefully that's something they figure out. Maybe he could be a center, trying and experiencing with that offensive line, seeing where he could play. But being a swing guy as a third round pick, good length, good athletic ability, I think he's someone worth taking. So in the fourth round, I have the Patriots addressing the offensive line. Now, by the time you guys are listening to this, Milton Williams might be signed to the Patriots. We don't know when that will happen. Big rumor that he is probably the number one guy with Ronnie Stanley off the board. So I have the Patriots taking maybe more of a little smaller guy, Aeneas Peebles Jr. Aeneas Peebles out of Virginia Tech. This guy came in at 6'1.5". Not very big, 282 pounds. His size, both height, weight, and wingspan, is in the 10th percentile or less. That's going to be his biggest knock. Measurements did not help him. This is a dude that ran a 4.94 40-yard dash, which was in the 89th percentile. He had a 32.5-inch vert, which was in the 90th percentile. He had the best pass rushing grade amongst interior defensive linemen, defensive tackles. He had a 91.2 PFF pass rushing grade. He had 37 total pressures, which was sixth, and he had the best win percentage on pass rush plays amongst the interior defensive linemen, right? Abdul Carter obviously was up there for all players, but for an interior defensive lineman, Aeneas Peebles had a 17.8% pass rush win percentage rate, which is elite at that spot. Super disruptive, physical and violent for his size, right? A little bit undersized, but he doesn't play like that. He's still physical. He's still violent with his hands. Very technical player. He knows how to win. He's obviously had to learn that because of some of the size restrictions he has. He has to be really good with his hands. He has to know how to set guys up so he can get around them. Very quick first step, very high motor guy. I think he'd be a great depth piece behind a Christian Barmore. Spell Christian Barmore. He has the ability to rush the passer. That's where his upside is, but a little bit smaller. So obviously with the question marks and the blood clots with Christian Barmore, what his future will look like, whatever. Even if you get Milton Williams, adding a more dynamic pass rusher guy like Aeneas Peebles and letting him spell Christian Barmore on certain downs as a depth piece, I would really like that. So again, I talked about his size. He's just short and stocky, a little bit of concern there. That's why he's probably not a true 3-down guy. He's not going to be able to give you first, second, and third downs. Maybe need to create some packages for him. He can stall if he doesn't win his first move, right? Like I said, he's very smart. He's very technical, but because of his size, because of some of those restrictions, if he does not win on his first pass rush move, guys can hem him up. It seems that he isn't as productive as he is. That kind of is contradictory because I said he has a high motor. That doesn't mean he just stops. He keeps going. He plays with his hair on fire. Think of like Jack Sawyer type guys who just play until the whistle's gone, but he just loses production when he just doesn't have as many counter moves if he gets hemmed up off of his first move. So really like him though. And then the last pick here for the Patriots, taking a dynamic running back for them, Brashard Smith out of SMU. 5'9" and 7/8, 194 pounds. He ran a 4.39 40-yard dash, which was third amongst running backs at the combine. He had 1,326 rushing yards this year and 14 touchdowns for a team that obviously was a playoff team out of the ACC. Here's what's interesting about Brashard Smith. He only had 14 rushing attempts in 2022 and 2023. This guy played at the University of Miami those years, transferred to SMU, but he was a receiver at the University of Miami. So really, most of his rushing yards and attempts this is the first time for him playing the running back position. He's very raw. He's very young, but he still had good numbers on a good offensive team who put up a lot of points. He's great in the open field. His quickness and short area burst, kind of like Julian Edelman, right? He's one of those guys that was a slot receiver for him, a little bit smaller. He's really good quickness, short area, change of direction. He is a great receiving threat. Now, think of Antonio Gibson, right, who is currently on the Patriots roster, came out of Memphis as a receiver, kind of receiver running back hybrid. Now he switched to running backs. This is where I see Brashard Smith. Now, some people are like, well, why would we take him? We have Antonio Gibson. Well, in the 5th round, you're kind of drafting for guys that could maybe replace some of these guys. So if Antonio Gibson moves on, the Patriots need to have a Brashard Smith who can fit the James White, Shane Vereen role that Josh McDaniels always has in his offense. I love the production that Brashard Smith has had. Once you get the ball in his hands, this dude can create. He had 775 yards after contact, whether it was in the rushing game or the receiving game. He creates. He's really good out of the backfield, so more of a scat back type guy right here, scheme. But Josh McDaniels knows how to use those guys. A couple of concerns, a little bit smaller frame for the running back position. Like I said, a converted receiver, so a little bit smaller, skinnier frame. Needs to definitely have more carries. His vision was lacking a little bit. He just hasn't had the ball in his hands out of the backfield very often. He's a receiver, right? Like, he's used to catching the ball in a different spot of the field. He's used to having to make linebackers miss. He's not used to, having to read an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman make a cut into a certain hole. So he just needs more experience. But that's why I kind of am high on him, is because once he gets 1 or 2 years of not being the number one guy and maybe sit behind a Ramondre Stevenson or an Antonio Gibson, and in a system like Josh McDaniels, he can develop some of those things. So I really like that out of him. And he just lacks a little bit of explosion. He's very quick. He's very fast, but the explosiveness is just not quite there. He didn't jump very well at the combine either. It was really just his straight line speed. So that would maybe be a concern. I don't see this guy as a 3-down back. He's not replacing Ramondre Stevenson, but this is a guy that fits in Josh McDaniels' offense, scat back type of guy that you want to see the Patriots have, and need a guy like this that can get check downs. Drake May can find. You can set up screens for him. He can take, a 3-yard swing pass or maybe a middle ball route over the center, or even a screen to the house on any given play, because he has that experience, because he's really good like that. So here's my 5-round mock draft. Like I said at the top, a little bit interesting of a trade there, right? You're moving up 2 spots, but you're giving up Joe Milton to the Browns, and then you also move down about 30 spots. It's more like, 25 spots in the 3rd round to acquire that. This is with the intent to trade up, get a guy like Abdul Carter if he were to fall, if Cam Ward does go to the Titans at number 1, and then trading for an elite guy who's just climbing up draft boards in Matthew Golden, a swing offensive lineman, Jonas Savanaia, whether he's playing inside or outside, wherever you need him, and then taking a little bit more of depth pieces, but still really good players that can spell some of your studs, Aeneas Peebles, and then Brashard Smith. So make sure you guys let me know down below in the comments what you like about this mock draft, what you don't. Make sure you use code PATCHDRIVE at Underdog Fantasy. You can get your first deposit matched up to $1,000. So appreciate all the support. If you have not already, like, subscribe, comment. Make sure that the notification bell is on. Free agency's coming up. So we're going to have a ton of videos, maybe even a live stream with a special guest to talk about who the Patriots have signed, what the outlook is. Maybe we'll get some trade news, whatever it is. But if not, draft content is starting right now. It is full speed ahead draft season, especially because free agency is starting. So appreciate all the support. And until next time, I will talk to you guys later.